What would happen if I made the same cheese, but then I did different techniques in the aging process to make different cheeses? How much flexibility is there in a single recipe of cheese? That's my question. This video is going to be a little bit different from the rest. It is going to be long. It is going to be epic. It is going to dive deep into the practicality of cheese making. It's going to stretch the envelope, and I hope it's going to help me become a more intuitive cheesemaker, and it's going to help you better understand the process of cheese making. So for this basic cheese, I'm going to use the one that I made a couple days ago that was so fast and easy. It is called a bel paese. Bel paese, it means beautiful country in Italian, and I got the recipe from Kitchen Creamery by Luella Hill. I'm just using the idea of this recipe because I change it as I go along. Here are a couple things that you need to know about it. It is a thermophilic cheese, which means that the milk or the curds at some point in the process is heated to 106 degrees Fahrenheit or above. This one just goes to 106 degrees. It's a short acidification time. You add the culture, and then you add the rennet, and then you cut the curds and stir them for 30 minutes, and then boom, it's ready to go into the press. So you press it, then you brine it, then you age it for 2 weeks, and then you eat it according to the recipe. However, that's where things are going to get interesting. We're going to mess around. We're going to push the envelope. We're going to see where the boundaries are, and we are going to learn how flexible cheese making can or cannot be. So this morning, my husband brought in the milk. It wasn't quite 8 gallons, so I had to add some from the fridge. I put the clabber into the kettle before adding the milk, because that way I don't have to stir it. However, I kind of forgot that I'm supposed to heat it to 106 degrees before adding the culture. So this particular one is more acidified. Once the milk came to 106 degrees Fahrenheit, then I let it rest for 10 minutes before adding 1 teaspoon of rennet diluted in a little bit of water. Stirred that in and let it rest for 30 minutes. It wasn't quite set at 30 minutes, so I went to 40, and then it was good. I cut up the curd with a whisk because I want this cheese to be fast. The recipe calls for cutting it into cubes, but I don't want to deal with that. I just want to bang this cheese out as quick as possible. And then I took out a little bit of the way because the kettle was so full. I focused a little bit harder at the beginning because sometimes cutting with the whisk leaves some big chunks to here and there. And I want to get them broken up on the front end so that they have time to release all their moisture. So these will knit together because it is so warm. I want to keep it moving fairly briskly. When I'm down in there, I'm just kind of like scrunching and busting them up as I feel clumps. Today's reading material of choice, I write what I like in preparation for a trip I am going on to South Africa. So excited. They're pretty soft right now. They're still like juicy on the inside. I'll do a squeeze test. So shake some into your palm, then you squeeze. They're pretty firm. They're coming out a little bit on my fist, and they're staying together, but you can see they're not like knitted tight, and there's still like wetness when you pull them apart. So they kind of stretch a little bit. So they need a little bit more time. They're floating more free-form for the most part, which is another sign that they're getting done. These curds are feeling solid. Okay, so right here's a little cluster, and that does not feel wet anymore to me. It feels very dry. So these little lumpies aren't soggy in the middle anymore. Let's do a squeeze test. And when you do a squeeze test, it's not like a quick squeeze. You actually hold it for a little bit to squeeze it and compress it. And see how well they are together, and then you pull them apart, and they're really breaking. Like there's not pull, they actually pop apart. And that looks fairly dry on the inside. They crumble back up, and these are now ready to be pitched and get it into the press. I'm gonna cover up the top like this and just press on it a little bit, get it down into the mold. Okay, it is 9:30. This has been like an hour and a half to get this cheese from milk to press. Like I said, it's a fast one. So I'm going to press it throughout the day and then start it in the brine at bedtime. So that's 10 hours, 12 hours of pressing, but it's not at hard pressure. I'm going to start it out kind of low and just increase it over the day, flip it occasionally. There's no real method except you want to start out with lower pressure and increase as you go. And I'm not going to go super hot. I'm going to let this sit for just a little bit while I clean up, and then we'll actually get it pressing. This is down to level almost. I'm just piling this up in the middle. I'm not going to worry about getting this completely smooth because it's going to be flipped a bunch of times. It'll all work its way out. It's going to take a little bit of finagling. I don't really measure the weight. I don't know what it is. I'm going by sight. I'm going by feel. And right there, you just saw that little pressure from this bucket. It's very light, but it brought it down a little bit. You don't want like extra milky whey to be coming out more than what the whey was in the pot. It's gonna look a little bit milky or a little bit opaque. I'll measure by quart so you can see as we go along how I do, and you do it slowly so you don't startle the cheese. That's probably enough, not even that much. My whole mantra is press it till it weeps, and it's weeping. So we're gonna let it just sit here and have a little cry, and then we'll come back and make it cry some more. It's going down in that lip there, but unevenly. So we're gonna stabilize that. And this bucket is sitting on the floor. We gotta fix this. And it's dripping here a little bit, but not too much. It's kind of slowed down. There's a gap there so we can fill in. So now we have a second quart of water. Let's see how soon it cries. Not really crying. That was a whole quart. So now we're at 2 quarts of weight. So another quart of water. I'm guessing 9 pounds. 9 pounds, 5 ounces. Wet. And look, there's a lot of moisture in here. Give it a flip. Hi, I am future Jennifer, and I've been editing the video and I am popping in to clarify several things. First, what you just saw is the make upon which all the future cheeses in this video are based upon. And then I continue to make this same recipe over and over again, just changing how I form it, how I age it, and the end result. So in each of these versions, I'm not going to show you the make. You just saw that. I'll only be filming the parts that are relevant to how the cheese turned out. Second, I make 9 cheeses from this recipe. Each of them are very different. There's a bunch of failures. There's some successes. Third, this video focuses more on the adventure of cheese making and the process. I don't do a ton of explaining of the minutia of cheese making. For those of you who want to understand more of those details, I have made a foundations of cheese making document, and it includes all the nitty-gritty. You can download that for free. The link is below this video. Fourth, this video is not for beginning cheesemakers. Some of the concepts are a bit more complex, a bit more nuanced, and to be honest, I don't even understand exactly why things happen the way they did all the time. Beginners are more than welcome to watch. I encourage you to, because even though you might not understand exactly what's going on, you're going to glean a whole bunch of useful information that will impact how you approach cheese making. So there's no more base make. We're just going to be hopping into these cheeses and seeing what happens. Cheeses have been enormous recently, just producing so much. Okay, so this is ready to come out of the mold. As you can see, it never got completely down. It has a lip. It's supposed to go in the brine tonight, but I have been reading that letting the cheese sit out unbrined after it's been out of the mold for 12 hours, 24 hours allows the good stuff to start working before it gets stunted by the salt, and it makes a better tasting cheese. So I'm going to just take this out of the press and let it sit until tomorrow morning, and then I'm going to brine it. It has completely splooshed. Should have flipped it one more time and left it in the mold, but I didn't. So now I have a really fat cheese, which doesn't fit into my brining kettle, so I'm going to be brining it in a different kettle. Good grief, 11 pounds, 2 ounces. Because this is a softer cheese, I think it needs to be brined only 3 hours per pound. So if it's 11 pounds, that's 33 hours. Feels a little bit damp, but it's not wet. This still is way on the plate. It smells really good. This is not airtight. I'm gonna let it go. I think it's okay. This one does not feel airtight either. Shoot. I'm gonna just let it go for now and pretend I didn't notice. I am in the process of cleaning up the cheese cave, getting ready to leave the country. Da-da-da-da-da. This cheese I could see when I was turning it hadn't sealed properly and blue mold was forming. So I decided I better pack this up again real quick. Ooh, this cheese reeks. This one smells like putrid, gross, disgusting, which I know doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's just the point at which it is in its bacterial evolution. I just kind of go over and get the bits of mold that are not desirable. Feels dry. It's not really slimy that much. There's a little bit of candidum there. So that's a pretty simple clean. And I'm just going to package this back up and hopefully it will seal properly this time. When I say it smells bad, it smells acidic, sharp, and putrid, like rank. A little bit like something's rotting. This doesn't feel like it quite sealed. There's a little bit of looseness here. I wonder if this is having trouble sealing for some reason. I'm gonna let it go though, because I can't fix my sealer before I leave. And stick it in a cave and hopefully it will not rot. While I was gone, my husband took care of all the cheeses. He said, you might want to take a look at this one. This is about 5.5 weeks old right now. It's solid, but it is molding in the bag. I gotta clean this up and then we're gonna eat it today. Oh wow, it's really open. This really didn't seal. Oh, dang it. It smells of basement mold and grossness. Yuck, wow, that's really bad. It's wet in the bag, fuzzy. There's like brown, pink mold there. It's really gross. What am I gonna do? Let's see. What happens if I just skim this off? You get a lot of that, but I think I'm just gonna I think I might just cut it off though. What if I did a peeler? Well, shoot, that doesn't quite work because it's digging into the cheese. That part works. The cheese itself feels really good. See that pinkishness? I wonder if that's bee linens. That white mold, I'm not so concerned about. That looks more like Geo. Oh, lots of mold spores are popping off of this. I could wash this with vinegar, and I still might, I'm not sure, but this does not have a rind. It feels like a soft cheese. I'm just gonna cut into it and try to eat the parts that I can, and we'll see if it tastes good before I spend more time messing with cleaning it up. Because if it's bad, what's the point? That looks very good. Soft, firm. I mean, it's firm, but it's like a soft cheese. Just gonna waste some. I'm gonna waste a lot. Can you see the discoloration? Like right here's a darker color and right in the middle is more white. It's almost like it's beginning to ripen and soften from the outside. And this part on the bottom and on the sides feels softer, and then this is firmer on the middle. So I think there's some geotrichum, something's happening here that is causing this outside part to soften. It's almost dry. It has flavor. It has some really good flavor. It's a little bit on the bright side, but there's also a depth of funkiness, but maybe I'm smelling the molds. There's a little bit of graininess that I don't quite like, which is a problem I always have. It breaks like a cheddar cheese. Just snaps. It's perfectly serviceable, but nothing fancy. Right here it has a little bit of white mold in the cracks. Can you see it down in there on that spot right there? So I'm gonna taste that and see what that's like. Oh, nope, not good. Definitely taste it. Bad funk. I don't wanna get sick on top of jet lag. That would be so bad. It has a different flavor. Like I keep thinking of vegetables and fruits, not lemons, not bitter. It's like a fruity funk. It's good. I am tasting it right here on the edge where it's like softer than it is in the middle. It's much creamier. It has a much nicer texture. I like the edge better than I do the inside, but I don't like the moldy edge. So, you know, you gotta choose. This can absolutely be used as a mac and cheese and grilled cheese sandwiches. I bet it will melt really nice. Let's check. It's definitely releasing some funky odors. Look at all that fat in it. It's a high fat cheese. We got a melter. Yep, lots of good melting. Like melty. Wow, that really stretched. It's got some funky funk that is, I think, good. And it's very high fat, clearly. This would be a good grilled cheese one. Nickel Pickle, come here. Now first taste this one, plain by itself. Mild, salty, bitter, funky.
I would say neutral, but it leaves an aftertaste. It has almost like a bitter or tart taste.
Try the melted part.
It tastes better. It's less strong, but it has more flavor.
Do you like it?
Yeah, it's good.
So now I have these hunks of cheese that are cleaned up more or less, and I'm gonna backpack them and stick them back in the fridge, not the cave, so that it slows down the ripening of it completely. We'll use this as a cooking sandwich cheese, probably. You guys, I just got out this other half of this bel paese. I was gonna clean it up, package it, and it just does not smell good. I'm not even saving it. There was air that got in this bag. It just smells yuck. The cheese itself is firm, is good, but there's all this white stuff there. And it's like kind of goopy on the edge. See where it's kind of like mushing right there? But the rest of the cheese is firm. I don't like that pink stuff either. I'm sure it's okay to eat, but I don't want to spend time, energy, plastic, whatever, wrapping this cheese up. The pigs will be very, very happy for it. The end. Moral of the story, do not let air into your backpack bags, because if you do, disaster strikes. This has been air drying. It looks pretty solid. Looks like a normal cheese. Smells good. So this is ready 6 months from now. There you go. Down to the cheese cave, flipping about once a week. The seal's broken and there's blue mold on this. So what the heck, people? Gonna have to redo this one. There's no moisture in the bag, which is good. And it looks like the mold part is just here on the top. This is a light salt brine, and I'm gonna add a little bit of white vinegar to it. And just gonna try to get this off. I'm not really wanting it to rub down into the rest of the cheese. Comes right up. I'm not sure where that mold's coming from. It must have been from the air drying part. I'm gonna let this sit out just for a little bit today to let it dry. Problems, they just always crop up. It's a little bit clammy, but I think the moisture is gone. There's a little bit of blue. Down to the cheese cave. It's just sitting in here, it's looking totally fine. I'm just flipping it. Hello, my milk slingers. It's a tight seal. There's some white things there, which it looks like calcium maybe. Ooh, that's weird. Hang on. This smells a wee bit barnyardy. Like, I want to say manure, but it's not manure, but like just a bit funky. It feels hard. Ouch. Dang it. It feels like it's tough, like maybe dry. I hate when this happens. Knives work. My prediction right off the bat, this is going to be crumbly, slightly acidic, and not great. It smells good on the inside. I think the outside stuff is just, you know, the bag trapping everything in there, and it doesn't get the right air, and it just develops its own little funk. Like it's been cooped up for too long. It needs some fresh air. Don't we all? She says, looking out at the snow. It feels kind of like, not grainy, but just not great. And the outside has all that goopy, hard white stuff, which is the calcium. You can scrape it off. It's not gonna really matter. It doesn't really have any flavor. You know what I would kind of call it? Absolutely ordinary cheese. Like, this is cheese, and that's all it is. There's nothing else to it. It doesn't taste salty, it doesn't taste rich, it doesn't taste creamy, it doesn't taste dry. It just tastes like cheese. There's that bit of graininess, there's a bit of brightness. It's yummy. I mean, there's nothing bad. It's just kind of like, why would you eat it? So I don't know what to say about the long-aged cheese. It's a long-aged cheese with no purpose. And thus concludes the long-aged cheese. Is it worth it? Probably not. I'm wondering if I should turn this one into an American cheese, like a Cheese Whiz. What I'm gonna do is just wrap this up right now and think about it. It just tastes a little bit too bright, like not deep enough. I don't like that. I like things to be more mellow, more nuanced. I'm actually gonna backpack it because I don't wanna deal with it right now. I am today making 3 cheeses with this pot of curd. I'm gonna skim off some of the curds and then we're gonna make a cottage cheese. Then with the remainder of the curds, I am going to make feta. And with the whey, I am going to make ricotta because the whey from this cheese yields a fabulous ricotta. For those of you who have struggled with my previous video on making ricotta and just do not get it, I recommend that you do this cheese. I think it'll help to start clearing things up for you. First off, we're gonna scoop up some curds for the cottage cheese. So these are squishy. They're probably not sticking together very well yet. They're doing pretty good. That was a short squeeze. I want them to be juicy and not too rubbery or hard because I'm going to be putting salt and cream with them. So I'm just setting this aside to drain for a few minutes and I'll come back and finish it off. They're kind of already stuck together. Just break this up. So you're kind of mushing up any big lumps so that they're all crumbly. I guess I needed a bigger bowl. And I'm going to put salt in here and cream. The cottage cheese has just been sitting in the fridge. It doesn't look soupy. It looks like it's soaked in, so let's see. You can see how it looks dry compared to cottage cheese that you get in the store. Let's see how this tastes. That's yummy. It has the bite of the curds, but the curds are not rubbery anymore. That's a treat. I kind of like it like this. Not even soupy. There's something so satisfying about it, but I feel like I should make it soupier because that's how it is in the store. Always remember, you can do whatever you want when you're making your own cheese. Let's just add a little bit more in here. Ooh, that's pretty rich stuff. Add a little bit of salt because you're diluting the salt. I don't know why they always say cottage cheese is low fat. Mine is like a decadent treat of a dessert. This would be good with tomatoes and fresh herbs, with roasted peaches. You could do anything. Oh, it's so yummy. Next up, I'm going to get the whey going for the ricotta. I'm going to be scooping out as much whey as possible. I'm going to pop a lid on that so I'm ready to work with that. I am going to crank this up on high heat. It needs to be raised to 180 degrees. It's at 105 right now. In the last 10 degrees or so, there's been stuff forming on the top. I'm going to let this go till about 190 degrees. I just have found that it works better to go on the higher side, even as high as 200. You don't want it to boil, but you want it to get really hot. The other thing is that right now, the stuff that's forming on top could be strained through a cheesecloth to get a very fine and creamy ricotta. And from what I understand, some people say that's the way to do ricotta. You want it to be smooth and creamy. You do not want to add the vinegar because that takes on a different taste, a different texture. I'm still going to add the vinegar because you get more that way, I think, if it works. Right now, these curds kind of run, well, they don't run through completely, but they're kind of soft. So we're going to add vinegar. Give it a stir. You can see how much it's snowballing to the top right there. So I'm going to cut the heat. It's 194, 195. Let this sit for 20 minutes. Oh wow, it's a thick cap. Look at that. Look how clear it is underneath. All that milkiness has gone into the ricotta. Funny story. I had one guy tell me that because my whey was milky and was creamy, I was doing my cheese wrong. If there was something left in the whey, then my cheese was being made wastefully and failing or something. People, having whey that has cream in it that you can make ricotta with is normal. That's why there is ricotta. Like, that's what you do with the whey. So, person's wrong. Now this whey is going to get cooled outside so I don't have the heat inside, and this is going to probably be used to water the tomatoes and peppers. It is time to check how much ricotta we got. 1 pound, 4 ounces, 2 pounds, 2 pounds, 9.6 ounces. So 2.5 pounds of ricotta. Can you see the different shades of color in the ricotta? So right there's an example. You can see white and yellow. I think this white part is probably what came up with the vinegar, and the yellow part is what was naturally rising to the top before I added the vinegar. That's my guess. I'm not 100% sure, but that seems to be the case. So let's make this yummy. I'm gonna add salt, not even measuring, just throwing in a bunch of salt to make it good. It's very mildly salty, let's put more in. This is straight ricotta without any cream added to it. So you could, if you wanted to, and I've done this before in my other videos, is dump in heavy whipping cream. It kind of soaks it back up and makes it very luscious and delicious. I'm not going to do that with this. This I'm probably going to put in containers. I like to dollop it on top of pizza. I like add it to lasagna, obviously. Baked ziti. It'd be good, you know, with flatbread. It's good. Olive oil, put it on toast. Add avocados, put it in a salad. Throw it into mac and cheese. Make pancake. Make a ricotta red raspberry cake. I have that recipe on my blog, and it is so classy, so basic, like a good snacking cake. It tastes creamy and light and salty and milky, like it's a nice fresh cheese. 2.5 pounds of ricotta I got from just 4 of the gallons of whey. I need to drain off the rest of this whey. I need a gallon of it, but then the rest of it is pig food. Okay, that's pretty close. So into this, for the feta brine, is 1 cup per gallon. This is for 8% solution. There we go. So I'm gonna set that aside for the brine. Oh look, tons more already. You just keep getting whey. Yeehaw, that's all I need. And I'll top off just a wee bit more salt into that to be accurate-ish. And then these curds for the feta get 1 cup-ish, which is a lot. It feels wrong. I've gone through this before with you. Just do it. Now this gets crumbled in. The regular recipe is a longer sit time in the warm whey, but it's stirred less. These were stirred much more aggressively. This is very different from the feta that I have on the YouTube channel, but we're just making a feta from a standard recipe to see how it works. Super salty. And it's not going to be a hard pressure, but this presses till tomorrow morning. I'll flip it a few times. Medium pressure, back. A little concerned about this cheese because it is so warm in here. It's like 90, 95 in the kitchen. It feels warm to the touch still. Just medium pressure overnight. So first up, we're gonna weigh it. Now this cheese is basically just like any cheese. I could just age this or let it keep going to be whatever you want it to be. Has salt added in already, so it would be like a curd Philly, a little bit like a stirred curd cheddar, though I didn't really stir the curds. They're not very acidified, so maybe a little bit like a jack. You could natural bandage this, natural grind it, backpack it, do a wash on it, but we're gonna do feta. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. 7 pounds, 2 pounds, 2 pounds. That's at least 10 pounds of cheese from this 8 gallons of milk. More than that, actually. This gets sliced up and we're gonna salt it. It already has so much salt in it, but we're just gonna keep adding salt. And then we'll brine it and more salt. There's some moisture in it. That's interesting. It'll be salted, so it'll lose some of that. This is gonna be drawing out the moisture, and we'll flip this in a little bit and work on the other side. It's time to chop up and brine this feta. So here's the brine. It was in the fridge overnight. You can see how it kind of separated. That's lighter, darker, and then like cream on top. I'm gonna add the vinegar, just a 1/4 cup. Give it a stir. No calcium chloride added because this has calcium in it from the whey. So you can see they're yellowing because they're developing a rind. This is all wet. There's still salt sitting on the outside. Underneath, there is a lot of whey on this pan. It was not sitting in the whey exactly, but it's right there. It feels rubbery. It feels like chicken breast. This feels even harder than when you're making cheddar cheese. It's just a tough fold thing. It smells like cheese. It's squeaky, it's salty, it has flavor. Basically, it's like a queso fresco, like the fresh eating cheese. It's surprisingly not too salty. I mean, it's quite salty, but it's not too salty. It's nice. I wonder if that squeakiness will dissipate as it's in the brine, or if it's gonna keep it. Now I'm just gonna fill these jars. There's a good chance that mold will grow on the top of this if there's oxygen, and there will be a little bit of oxygen in the jars. It's often blue, white, it looks like fabric, and I just scrape it off. If it gets on the cheese, I cut that part off, but I've been removing it and eating feta from moldy topped brine to no adverse effects. This is now going to sit out on the counter for a week or so to culture more. Then it's supposed to go into a 55-degree cheese cave for a couple weeks, and then it goes into a fridge. Sometimes mold develops earlier, and so then I just move it straight into a fridge. It's supposed to be 100 degrees on Monday, so it might not work to keep these out at room temperature. We are in the middle of a heat wave, so I am taking this feta that's back there on the counter, and I am going to be putting that into the barn fridge today because I'm afraid it will turn funky too hard, too fast. Look how it's clarifying and looking much less yellow, much more like white feta. That's what the feta looks like on top. So all the cream has risen up there. See, I bet that bit of cheese on top is gonna get moldy. And I noticed it had like a little rosy-ish hue to it. So I had my son bring it in this morning and it's been sitting on the counter. And now it's looking more like the regular yellow, creamy, beige color. We're just gonna check on this and see what it looks like on the inside. Make sure there's no mold forming. That's like all this creamy stuff on top, whatever that is. We'll take that off. And this is, oh, it's slimy-ish. Let's see if it's slimy underneath. That's not slimy. It just smells like feta, but it's slimy on the outside. Yikes, come back here. I don't like that. Is it slimy all the way down in? Yeah, it is. Ooh, people, that's bad. That means this is disintegrating. It needs more calcium chloride in there. It tastes really good. It's a little bit rubbery. It's not too salty. So you can see how it's slick on that side. That's not right. I'm gonna do some research. I'll be back. In the house, they do not look rosy. It's because of the fridge light. So ignore what I said about that. Yeah, it's just a little bit slimy. It almost like cream has come to the top. Oof. One thing that I read said that the pH was too high. This sludginess is a sign of it, and the way to correct it is to drop it by using some white vinegar. So my question is, do I just add white vinegar and agitate it a little bit, or put it in a new jar, strain off this? I don't even know. It also said that you do not want to add calcium to your brine, contrary to what other people say. Don't know if that's true or not. Let's just add white vinegar and do a gentle shake. I'm going to scoop off some of this gunky stuff at the top though first. This could just be bits of crumbly cheese floating to the top and just turning into a mush. So the teaspoon per 500 mils, so I'm going to do a tablespoon and a half of white vinegar per jar. And I'm actually going to let these sit out at room temperature. It's cool today, and see if that helps any of this to work. It's actually kind of exotic, that creaminess. It's still cloudy, it's still slimy. So I took out a piece. It's not like disintegrating, it's just the outside edge. It's just a wee bit mushy. Like you get a little bit of a smear on it when you do that. So I salted it all over like a cob of corn. I'm just gonna let it air out here and see what happens. Over here is feta that was in the fridge, the last batch that I filmed, and you can see that's the color of the brine. And this feta is fabulous. It does not feel nearly as slimy. It smells fine. I'm gonna salt this a little bit more while I'm at it. My theory is that I should have salted these maybe another 12 hours or 24 hours and let them sit out at room temperature and kept turning them, because I think it needed more of a rind and more salt in it before I put it into the brine. I have added more vinegar, and since then it doesn't seem to be worsening. So I think if I took all those pieces out and laid them out on a rack again and salted them again at room temperature and flipped them for a day or two, I could put them back in brine. However, I don't want to do that right now. So as long as it's stable in the brine, I'm going to let it continue to ripen here, and that will develop flavor. And then I'll just pull it out at some point and salt it. Or maybe not. Yeah, it breaks nice. It's dry on the inside. That's nice. It's not creamy. It's a little bit drier, and it's not terribly salty. I really do think these need more salt. Maybe this needs more salt. What if we just dump salt in? Let's try that. It just falls down in. I'll let this sit out at room temperature. Now I'm sprinkling salt on this, and I'm going to let it air dry for a little bit. Oh, these are quite sludgy. I'm going to let these go at room temperature for today. This is the old feta from the other batch. Away from that, I took that feta out and I marinated it in jars in the fridge. This is the leftover brine. Here is the bum feta that I'm trying to see if I can salvage. It doesn't smell bad. It's a little slick on the edge. So breaking it, and you can see it's kind of dry. Tastes good. Whatever. I'm gonna plop it all into this jar, and we're just gonna see if this keeps it from disintegrating, if this brine is proper brine. That's almost all of it in there. This would be good in like a saag paneer or thrown into a curry. Thus semi-concludes the story of this rogue feta. It does not feel nearly as slimy. The brine has turned a little bit cloudier, but it's not as bad as it was before. I'm gonna set this in the barn fridge, and that's where we'll keep our feta. I need some more feta, so I'm gonna go out there and get it. I'll be right back. Whew. Look at that. Looks perfectly clear. Smells a little barnyardy. I'm not sure. I think that's really good. Here's what I'm not sure about. I almost thought it was a titch of bitter, like it wasn't maybe quite salted enough. But then I taste this again, and I think it probably is quite salty. It just tastes like it's stronger, like it has more of an aged cheese quality. Like maybe it's a bit too pungent. When you put it with a lot of other strong things like garlic and lemon and everything, it's just that cheesiness really pairs well with those strong flavors. This is great. I was afraid it was getting slimy, and it didn't. That's a wonderful news. This right here is kind of like white and like a little bit soft. I mean, the cheese is firm right underneath that. So that stuff, I don't know what that's from. I'll probably just like scrape it off and then have a smooth piece of cheese. And that's just like baby vomit, actually. Don't you just love my beautiful descriptors? Baby vomit. It is ready to be drained off and then put into the mold. But before I do that, I'm gonna wash the curds. So I have removed 1 bucket of the whey right here, and I have another bucket of water, same amount, 106-degree water. I'm just gonna dump this in and stir it for about 10 minutes to halt the acidification and to make a sweeter cheese. That's the goal of washing it, my goal anyway. So we're gonna see how this changes the outcome of a cheese. So the curds right now are like this. Just squeeze them just to show you what they're like. They still feel very soft. They don't feel tight on the outside or rubbery. They're pretty tender. And they are staying together and they tear apart pretty easily. I could be using hotter water to cook the curds more or cooler water to cool them down. I'm just doing same temp just to see kind of a pure wash what it's like. I'm going to stir this for about 5 minutes. Even just in the last 5 minutes of stirring, these feel considerably different. They look looser, smaller, tighter, like they're not sticking together as much, and they taste sweeter. They feel more separate. And there you go, just break it apart. Yeah, these are really nice. So now we're gonna pour off the whey and get this into the press. I still have not gotten the curd into the pot. Friends stopped by to get some cheese. Because it was washed, I don't think it's been acidifying as much as it could have been, but it is still acidifying. So it's gonna be different than anticipated, but that's what happens when you make cheese. Life happens and you have to stop. Hi, honey, you can come on in. I'm just gonna be interrupted like all the time. When people make cheese, then the baby threw up or needs to have a diaper change or needs to be nursed, or kids get in a fight and you have to go deal with them. And so you can't always do things on a schedule, and that's what cheese making is. Sermon over. More whey came out and it's just sitting in that. Breaking it up isn't necessary, but you ran the microwave, now I can't talk. Anyway, breaking it up isn't as necessary. I'm doing that just so it gets in the edges of the mold and doesn't leave gaps. It just settles in and I can fit more curd into the press.
Stomachache every time I use it.
Or eating. Like you nauseated or like cramping? Very different. This? Yeah. So it can warm up till bedtime. We'll just stick it in the... 8 pounds even. It's feeling actually pretty dry, which I'm glad about. A little bit of moisture there. I'm gonna dump that. It's really, really hot, and I do not want to let this sit out at room temperature too much, so we're just gonna try to air dry this rather quickly. A little damp on that side actually, and a little bit more moisture's come out. Maybe I should stick it in the fridge. I think it's actually mostly dry. It is so warm that I want to get this in as soon as possible. I don't want it to start melting and letting the butterfat pool out of it. So we're gonna cut it in half in order to fit it into the bag. Yeah, a little bit of whey is running out. It happens with each of these cheeses, some whey runs out, which I find a little bit distressing. So there we go. Gouda style, a BP is for Bel Paese, and it should be ready in about 3 months. So I'm gonna stick this down to 55 degrees and we'll be flipping it every week or so. Hopefully we will have maybe a Gouda style cheese. We'll see. Not ready for another month yet, just flipping it, putting it back in the fridge. The cave, excuse me. It is a couple months past when I should have eaten it because I kind of forgot about it. Gouda should hold just fine. These have always had a little bit too much moisture and been a touch too acidic, or not acidic, just like sharp. So I'm curious to see if washing it helped to fix that problem at all. Oh my goodness. There we go. It smells good. It smells actually kind of buttery and nutty. It crumbles. That's yummy. It doesn't, it breaks. It does not bend. So it doesn't have the elastic that I often associate with Gouda cheeses. That's really delicious. What's it like? It's excellent flavor. Nutty, buttery. The texture is creamy. It has that little bit of a crumble. Maybe a little bit like a Monterey Jack. Not really like a Gouda at all. Let's see if it melts. It toasts. It melts a bit. Oh. So here's where it melted. It did not toast. You can see it stretches. Yum. That's fabulous. And then here's where it's crunchy around the edges. This cheese is pretty perfect. It's creamy, it's flavorful, it has a good level of salt. It does not have a tangy flavor. People have said that they have trouble with the curds. They often release way later. Often I think it's a result of improperly cooked curds. And my theory is that washing curds can help to relieve or alleviate that whey trapped in curds problem, because they get handled more, and just that process helps to, I don't know, something with the whey. It seems like I have better luck with washed curd cheeses than I often do with a mesophilic cheese, just putting the curds straight into the mold. The washed curd just has a good result for me. There's like gaps where it's like looks dry, like that's where whey had been. There's white and then there's yellow. It actually tastes really fine. So whatever that's about. Anyway, I'm now going to package up these cheeses, backpack them. I'm not sure what I'm going to label them as. Not Gouda, not Bel Paese. It's like a semi-soft, mild snacking cheese, like a very mild cheddar. See how it's white and then it's yellow. I'm eating this cheese and thinking about it, as one does. This has a meaty flavor, a rich robustness about it. Also, it reminds me a little bit of a Costco's Dubliner cheese, the one that's like a cross between a cheddar and something else. This just has like a rounded flavor in it, and it's really good cheese. Have I said that? There is a very slight graininess to it, the same graininess that I often detect in a lot of my other cheeses. You're not going to notice it when you eat it with crackers. By itself, I can get that little bit of texture roughness that I don't like. It's a problem, people. Don't know what it is. I came up with the name. Do not laugh at me. The name is Second Breakfast because it feels like a snack. I don't know. Maybe I haven't been getting enough breakfast these days. So this one was made about 5 days ago. It's been air drying. There's some liquid on the plate. This is a brine of bee linen, salt, sugar, mead, and water. I'm just gonna wash this every couple days. Give it a nice rind, hopefully. So it's gonna go in this container, and on the lid, 223, date it was made. It will be ready in about 3 months. It's like the Zella. I put the date of when I washed it. And now it goes down to the cheese cave at 55 degrees, and I'll be washing it every couple days. Oh. So these are two Lady Zellas right here. You can see their color is a little bit orangey, beautiful. This is a little bit more bright yellow. So this is supposed to be changing into that as it ages. And just to note, this is sitting in the same spot that I washed these. So that means that the bee linens, whatever's growing here, is hopefully being transmitted to this one. This is our 3 cheeses. The one on the far right is a Lady Zella. It's the first one. It's several months old, I think. The one in the middle is a newly made Zella that is in the process of being washed. You can see the bee linens are starting to form on it. And the one on the left is my Choose Your Own Adventure that I am washing with the same wash that I used for the Lady Zella. It is just starting being washed, and it is still yellow. Has blue on it. You can see how I can just kind of smear it off right like that. I am just going to flip it. It's sticky, not washing it anymore. It smells like broccoli and is beautifully orange. It's exactly how I want it to be. It smells very, very strong, like vegetables, and it is a beautiful pink rind. It's sticky, it's tender, it's firm, it's kind of like Play-Doh or something. It's just gorgeous. This one is just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So I'm just gonna let it keep going in there. I'm not doing a thing to it. Ooh, lots of vegetables, and it has lots of white fuzzies that are starting on it. Can you see how that's showing up right there? Some Geotrichum candidum, I guess. I don't know. Just kind of tapping it down and giving it a flip. I really am not messing with this cheese. It has been so stable. I just went to flip it, and I want to show you. It looks great. It feels firm, but when I picked it up, look at these bubbles. Do you see how mottled it is right there? How it's just all lumpy all the way around. And there's that pinkness that's underneath it from the wash. So I'm flipping it, but there's like something bubbling there. So I'm thinking this might soon be time to taste. I'm not sure what this is about. Aside from those bubbles, it feels good. It's like really getting warbly. Like it is super cool looking. I think that is because of this white mold that is making it go wonky and softening inside, though it does not feel soft at all. It feels quite firm. I'm gonna let it keep going because I think that looks super cool. It's all about aesthetics. I've decided it is time to try this cheese. This was supposed to be eaten 3 months ago at least, and I just let it keep going because I decided not to worry about it. I'm dreading cutting into this because I think it's going to be bad. I think the I think the bee linens are going to have permeated into the paste and give it a funky, unpleasant taste. I think the velvety rind is going to be gross. I think it's just going to be a bum, funky, rotten, bad cheese. It still smells like broccoli. I mean, it smells fine, all things considered. It's just that this is so weird looking. Like those bumps, I've never seen that type of thing. It feels a little bit sticky, but it also feels like fabric. It feels like cool, sticky fabric. The very edge was soft, and now it's hard in the center, or harder, or firmer. Weird. It's like green. Do you see that? That is so interesting looking. Like it's smooth and then it's hard and dry. But the bacteria on the outside has definitely been creeping its way inward and ripening the cheese. Whatever this is, I don't even know. I think this is going to be really bad. That smells okay in the middle. It actually tastes like the longer aged version I did that I backpacked, the 6-month one. It just has that drier, not a good paste. A taste where it's worked its way in. That actually tastes really nice. Firmer than a Munster cheese or a brie, but it has more of that velvety creaminess. Yeah, I like that. Getting closer to the rind, here we go. There's a little bit more of a sharpness, but it's still fine. I'm not getting the rind, don't worry. That's good too. Wow, you guys, I don't know what I did here. I don't like the center, but whatever is working on the outside rind has been transforming the cheese, transforming the paste into something that is really nice. So that washed rind, those bee linens have been working. Maybe this needed to wait like another 6 months. I mean, it was very stable. I wish I knew at what rate this ripening was happening and how many more months would it be soft the whole way through. What do I have to wait for that? Another 2 months, another 8 months? That is fascinating. I don't like the rind and I don't like the center, but I do like this middle part. Tasting the center again because that's the part I really don't like. And not because it's bad, just because it's not pleasing. I don't like that texture. Come on. Hey. Hi. I'm tasting a really bad cheese. You want to try it? So my daughter-in-law just came in and we were discussing this cheese. And I think what I realized is this cheese did exactly what it's supposed to do. The inside paste, which is kind of like is exactly like the other cheeses that I made with this make, like the long-aged one in the backpack, or the short-aged one, or the feta. It has that hard texture to it. That's what the center of this cheese is. But then you washed the rind and those bee linens started softening the paste as it went through, which is exactly what bee linens do. The lesson here perhaps is that whatever cheese you do, potentially, that if you wash the rind, it will start to soften the paste. The cheese itself will stay true to what that cheese is in the center, but that paste will begin to soften. Therefore, you want to get a cheese that's going to have the appropriate paste that matches the exterior as it softens. This cheese does not match that. It's like a dry, crumbly, whatever type cheese, yuck. That's why you follow certain recipes that will give you a more pleasing end product than what I did here. Lesson learned. That's what this is all about. It's all about learning and figuring things out and failing and not even failing, like setting yourself up to fail or to not get everything right. To me, isn't exactly failing. It's just the process of learning. Cutting off the rind and then saving the chunks of cheese in a backpack bag, I kind of think this cheese doesn't hold well that way. I've observed that with some other bee linen cheeses, they're just not the best because the bee linens, even though the rind is gone, still are there and they kind of still make the cheese funky in that backpack bag. So I'm thinking maybe cutting this off and then grating the cheese and freezing it to use as a melter. When my daughter-in-law was here, we melted some of this and it melts beautifully. It melts like a raclette and it tastes good across the board from the very center to the outer part, not the rind. I'm omitting this rind entirely, not gonna even touch it. But The whole cheese itself melts beautifully and is delicious. In terms of adding the Lady Zella herb mixture to the cheese and washing it with that, that did not give it any discernible flavor to the cheese paste. It tastes really good. Hot. Y'all know by now how I feel about melty cheese with like the crunchy cheesy bits. So what I'm gonna do is cut off this rind and save these cheeses and call them melters. Maybe I should just call them a raclette cheese. This would be really good in fondue. It'd be really good melted over potatoes and mac and cheese, anywhere you need a melty cheese sauce. Look at that grayness in there. I mean, there you go, that's not bad. It's not going to win any awards, but it's perfectly acceptable. I just cut down in here and look, there's like a bit of a spongy paste that broke away. I can't really tell that there was a difference with it, but that bit right there feels a little bit wonky. Lots of waste, once again, seems to be my thing. Tonight's supper is mac and cheese, so I'm going to grate some of this to add to the sauce. There's a titch of discoloration right there. It's like regular cream and then it's a little bit gray. I'm gonna just grate that in and hope that's just a good flavor. Ha ha ha. I'm also gonna freeze some because I want to know how it thaws out and works after it's been frozen. This has been frozen for 24 hours, and so now it is going on creamy potatoes that have like 3 cups of cream in them and garlic and bay leaf. And technically the recipe calls for Gruyere cheese, but I'm just using this on top to see how it works because I think it's gonna melt really well in the oven and it's gonna add a nice funkiness. And I wanted to see how this will melt now that it has been frozen. So this version, I'm going to add salt to the curd and stir it up similarly to Jack or any of those cheeses that have the salt added to the curds prior. This should make the cheese a little bit more crumbly, a little less elasticy. The paste I'm hoping will be softer, salty. It's usually a tablespoon of salt per gallon of milk. This is 8 gallons of milk. However, you can see whey in here, so I know a lot is going to come out in the process of pressing it. So I'm going to probably put 10 tablespoons in maybe. We're going to need a fair bit of salt. I'm going to taste it, so that's also how I'm going to know if it's any good. It's quite salty. It's juicy, it's soft, the curds are tender. They're not hard or rubbery. They feel just soft. There's not a squeak. Up to here, there's a ton of curd. This is just like a couple cups of water. Just going to let it sit and come back in about 10 minutes. It tastes salty, but I almost wonder if it's going to need more. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to salt this just a little bit right in there so it gets worked in. Flip the cheese. Do a little bit more salt right there. So it gets a, ooh, that's a big old hair fuzzy type thing. Yep, it's level now. I think I can get the press in. Put a little bit more salt on. Oh, come on, be generous. There you go. I'm going to slowly add another quart of water. Oh, it's weeping now. You see all the tears come running out of it? Okay, well, let it just sit. Come back in a little bit. It's in. It's just super full. It's still not going in. That's good. There we go, it's sitting. It's down in, and we got some whey. So I'm a little bit concerned about this cheese. It's been pressing for almost 24 hours. And this much whey keeps coming off. I've dumped this a number of times. The cheese is now down to this level, but I'm concerned that there's moisture in the cheese that is going to cause the cheese to turn acidic or crumbly as it ages. Just noting that now, so if that does happen, I can know to trust my intuition when I'm making a cheese. 8 pounds, 15 ounces. Big boy. I'm just gonna let it air dry before putting it in the cheese cave. It is slumping. Do you see how it is like going down on those sides? So, oh, and look at all that whey. So here's the thing. I think this cheese consistently has been releasing a lot of moisture either in the brine or as it is being salted, air drying, it just keeps coming out, which I find fascinating, and I have no idea what this means. So let's flip this fat little squat booger. It feels very squishy. It feels tender. It is not dried out yet. So we're just gonna let it keep going. Nope, no more way. But this mat is quite wet. I'm not gonna worry about that. Yeah, look at that. It's getting like blue mold on it. So I'm gonna get a new mat. Oh, it feels slimy on the bottom too. That's not good. This might need to get onto the cheesecake. It's really hot in this house. This is getting white dots on it and blue mold, and it smells funky. What is that? Do you see that? Like those bumps are coming out. That is really odd. Huh. I'm not sure what that's about. I'm thinking this needs to be soon packaged up. Yep. So there's the leprosy cheese. And it is 54 degrees, and that is 93% humidity. It is looking all gnarly and funky. Just giving it a flip, letting it go. It feels nice, aside from those bumps, so whatever that is. It is growing white fluffy stuff right here, and it's kind of gross. Lots of leprosy, lots of white stuff. It's really gnarly. So there's definitely bee linens on this. You can see kind of a little bit orange. I'm just gonna brush this off and keep it going. That side looks actually decent. It's this stuff that looks so ridiculous. Maybe it'll just need to be cut off and then it'll be fine. Who knows? We'll find out eventually. It is looking rather mottled, but these lumpies are hard. And they're not like covered in too much mold. I'm gonna brush this down. Oh, there's red mold. What is that? That is kind of interesting. I'm going to just wash this stuff off. That's wild. That's going back in the cave. It's the one that has leprosy, and it is also looking absolutely stable. Just letting it keep going. It's looking pretty good. Just doing its thing. It has not been changing at all. It looks pretty gnarly. There's no cracks, and I just have no idea why it has all these dots. I think I'm gonna just brush it off, scrub it off. Let's see, maybe brush scrub. Because look, if I go like this, not much really comes off. It's pretty dry. Feels like it's a frog or something. Look at that. It's like cheese popping through all this, whatever gnarly rind is. Frog skin. Oh my goodness, it's a red cheese. It's like red and spotted. So I'm just dabbing it dry. I'm not going to let it air dry at all. This is just freshly washed. It smells like basement, but not too bad. It's slightly sticky right here around the edge. I'm wondering if this red comes from putting the Welsh cheddar down there, and maybe that has cross-contaminated and made this one red-orange. It's gonna be a hard cheese, I can already tell. Oh yeah, really hard. There's mold in it. Look at that, I got some mold in. Oh, it's crumbly. See that mold right in there? There's some right there. A little bit over here too. Oh, more mold. Interesting. It's a crumbly cheese. Cheers. It's dry, it's crumbly, it's grainy. Don't like that. The flavor is good. Nutty, nuanced, buttery, but the texture's shit. I don't know. A lot of my cheeses recently, like the Welsh cheddar, the Lancashire bandage wrap, like they're just coming out dry, even though my cave says it's 90% humidity, even above that sometimes. I don't know why they're not doing the thing right. Let's taste the rind. A little bit of the red rind. Ugh, yuck. Basement / dirty feet / I don't want to eat it. No. I do want to see how this compares to the long-aged vac-packed one. This is the salt stirred into the curd and then natural rind aged for 6 months. This is vac-packed and aged. And you can see the color difference and the texture difference. This is a lot more moist. This is a lot more dry. This texture is way better. This one is way crap. So I don't know why you would do this and natural rind it. You have to cut off so much and the flavor's worse. The texture's worse. The flavor isn't necessarily worse. Neither are very good. Bah humbug. This cheese is going to end up being probably a grating cheese. I wish I had like a processor mill thing. I could just put it through and use it for a cheese powder. The flavor is actually really good. I do think this will make fantastic grated cheese. You know, who knows what that leprosy is? If you know, let me know. Look at that mold all the way through there. What the heck? I didn't even see any gaps in the cheese. Look at that. It's just like pebbled throughout. It's a whole blue core. That's so weird. I'm not sure why I got all that blue. It doesn't smell like penicillium roqueforti at all. That's not very much cheese I got. Here's the scraps. They are about equal. These are discouraging, but who cares? This is what you do in the name of science. You lay waste and then you learn things. I'm not sure what I'm learning yet, but I'm sure it's something very important. Hopefully you're figuring things out right along with me. So these little pipsqueaks are gonna get wrapped up just like this. And then I had the brilliant idea to take the cheese to the place where I work and use the industrial strength food processor to grate it and then grind it into a fine powder. And now I have cheese powder that I am storing in the freezer, and I can use that in place of Parmesan, add it to crackers or pastas, soups, anytime I want a little hit of cheese. And it is fabulous. So I have a pot of curds. It was 8 gallons of milk. Same process the whole way through up until I've stirred the curds for 30 minutes. And so technically now they're ready to go into the press. However, I am going to pour off the whey. I'm going to weight down the curds in the pot for maybe an hour or so, and I'm going to cut them in half, and then I'm going to cheddar them and just kind of flip and stack as I go along for an hour or 2 hours or however long I feel like it before I move them into the press. We're just cranking out all sorts of cheeses, aren't we now? This is fun. I'm gonna put the lid back on top so that it keeps warm in there. And that also adds a lot of pressure on the bucket because it's kind of heavy. So this is gonna be acidifying. I'll come back in about 20 minutes to slice and stack. And I'm just making this up as I go based on what I know about cheddaring. There's no actual recipe that I'm following, just cheddarizing it. You can see how the lid sunk down as the curds sink in. I'm gonna leave it in the whey and not worry about that. Just cut that in half. I'm gonna flip this one and keep it on the bottom. And then I'm gonna flip this one and just swoosh it over onto the next. Kind of scooch them into the middle of the pot so I can fit this lid on it. And continue to press another 20 minutes. I think I'm gonna cut it in half again because I want more of a stack. So good. Oh, it's tearing. This actually might be good enough already. Okay, you know what? I don't feel like tearing it up. Let's cut this up. Oh my goodness, this all stuck together. This is a pain in the butt. For salt, we're going with a 1/2 cup, tablespoon per gallon of milk. These curds are pretty squeaky. Dumping the rest of the way in the salt in so it gets the salt catches on as it goes through. I'm gonna give that a little jiggle to make it work down in a little bit more. It's about 1 quart of water, and there we go. You can see it's crying. So we're doing good. Gonna be flipping this periodically, adding more water because it needs a lot of weight so that the curd can knit, because it has already formed its rind when you added that salt and you were milling it. It's a pretty tough curd, so it needs a lot of pressure to come together. So the buckets hit the bottom. So now it's time to repress this so that we can get the weight back onto the cheese. And you know what? I'm not gonna flip it. I'm gonna keep this going and just put more weights in here. Hopefully that'll be enough to just bring it down some more. This is not going down, so time to add more pressure and time to switch out pan for a plate. One thing I hate about making cheese is the mess. You can go ahead and laugh at me because my life is so full of mess and it doesn't apparently stop me, but it really irritates me. Coming together nicely, but it very obviously needs a hard press. So we can do that. This is probably at least a 1/2 gallon. We'll let it go for another hour or so and then we're gonna crank it up. Oh, look how tight that is. That's a really good press. Smooth and knitted. Oh, not quite there. Need a little bit more there. You want to get these wrinkles out of the bottom because otherwise you'll get a rumply cheese. Let's see if it weeps at all.
Weeps?
Weeps.
That's pretty dark.
This stinks. Smells rank, like thick and cloying. It is knitted beautifully. This smells good. It's the cloth that stinks. 7 pounds, 15 ounces. You can see how it's slumping a little bit and it feels soft and spongy. It does not feel as hard as I think cheddars often do. flipping it so you can see how it tapers down in because it was kind of smooching. This smells kind of stinky. It actually smells funky. I don't know if I like that. It is looking all mottled. It feels squidgy soft and dense. It does not feel dry like a cheddar. It feels boingy, like a fresh cheese. It smells okay. It's a little bit of a funk. There's a little bit of liquid on the plate. I'm not sure what else to say except it does not feel like a cheddar, even though we treated it as a cheddar, and I'm going to wrap it as a cheddar. I've got some lard and I've got some cloths, and I'm just going to wrap this cheese and then continue aging it. This is not very many layers, but I don't feel like putting many on. And I'm just gonna pack on the fat now. And hopefully that will be enough to seal out the air. I don't like how these edges are flopping, but I'm just gonna let that go. I think it's covered enough. Alrighty, we'll give this several months. It is not doing anything except getting some mold. It feels actually pretty dry, which does not bode very well. All right, it is time to taste this cheddar style cheese. So it hasn't been molding much. It's kind of stabilized. It feels really hard. I think it's pretty dried out. I actually wonder, can I just rip these bandages off? There's not that many on them. It's definitely easier than cutting. This is so fun. Oh, look how yellow it is under there. Wow, it's almost like it had bee lemons on it. Look at him sneaking out here. He knows I'm gonna have cheese soon. Wow, it's a rock. You can see the extra lard caked on it, which you can just kind of like rub off. So I'm gonna have to wash this all off right away because it makes the most sense to scrub this up first as a whole cheese and then go from there. This is that's not gonna come off. Nope. We're just gonna scrub this baby down. Warm water, so I want to melt off the lard. I've never figured out how to get the rancid taste off of the lard. Look at that. This is really hot water. It's probably at least 110 degrees, maybe more. This is so greasy. I'm actually contemplating using soap right now. And in fact, why not? I use soap on my fruits and veggies. Let's try it. Here we go, dish soap. Don't yell at me. It is still not all the way off. It is slippery and gross. This would get off more, but it's still down in there. And I think this rind is just gonna need to be cut off. I love that orange color, super pretty. The edges feel really dried out, like ancient. Okay, I'm gonna rinse this off one more time. I'm gonna scrub it with this brush because this brush is a lot stiffer than this wooden one. This is really good for brushing cheeses naturally, but I want a harder one. All right, there we go. As I've said before, I have no idea whether or not washing cheeses is what they do. You never see what people do in actual real caves. I've never gone to a cave. I've never found videos that show this cleaning up part. It's a mystery to me, so I'm just kind of doing my own little hacks. I have no idea if this is legit or if it's completely taboo. This cheese smells acidic. It smells very strongly of lipase and fermented soured lard, and it's still slippery. Can't get that off. Daggum. So let's cut into it. Oh, it's not as hard as I thought it would be. Wow, that looks pretty. It smells really good inside. All right, we're gonna have to cut and taste it. Oof. Super pretty. This is the center part. Oh my gosh, that is amazing. That is soft, it is creamy, it is a gorgeous paste. Am I yelling? Sorry. That is spectacular. It breaks like a cheddar because it's a cheddar. It's buttery, it's mild, it has a little bit of meaty flavor. Texture is so, so good. This is a fantastic, fantastic cheddar. I'm kind of excited. Let me taste the rind. I can taste the lard. It's not horrible, but it's not a flavor I want with my cheese. So, gonna be cutting off the lard. Hey Nicholas, you wanna come try it?
Tastes like...
Does it taste good?
Yeah.
I think it's really good.
It's pretty good.
It's a cheddar.
So here's the stress test. If you leave it alone, it breaks. Well, it doesn't break, it's pretty creamy.
So I'm tasting the rind that I already shaved off. I wanna see how this is. I taste a little bit. I think I need to take off a little bit more. It kind of Ruins the whole deliciousness if you get a rancid lard flavor. So we made it to the end. To recap, I'm going to rank the cheeses with my extremely subjective Milk Slinger cheese approval meter. So remember, we started this cheese with a basic thermophilic recipe. It's a Bel Paese. Version 1 was the basic cheese, which I backpacked and aged for 6 weeks. It molded in the bag, which was maker error. I take full responsibility. But aside from that little mistake, it was a fairly decent cheese. It was simple, it was plain, a little bit boring. So I'm giving that one 3 stars. Version number 2 was the very same thing, but it was backpacked and long aged for 6 months. This cheese was entirely nondescript. So 2 stars, edible, but not worth the calories. Versions 3 and 4 were the cottage cheese and the whey ricotta, and both of them were absolutely lovely. For the cottage cheese, I'm giving it 4 stars, but only because I've since learned to make a cottage cheese that is incredibly delicious and way better than this one. And I'll link to that at the end of this video. And I'm giving the whey ricotta 5 stars. It's excellent. If you want to learn how to make whey ricotta, make this cheese and then make ricotta with the whey, and you will know what all the fuss is about. Cheese number 5, the feta, was a struggle, mostly due to maker error, or should I say maker chaos. This one turned out tough and farmy. It was edible, but it wasn't really feta and it wasn't really good, and so I'm giving it 2 stars. Version 6, which was the washed curd cheese, which is similar to Agouda, was pretty darn delicious. 4 stars. Now version 7, the washed rind cheese, was taste-wise a pretty terrible cheese. So I'm giving it 1 star. But if I was giving stars based on a fun science experiment scale, then this one would be hands down the winner, 5 stars. It was kind of a wild cheese. I'm giving version 8, the salt stirred curd cheese, which I'm kind of calling a jack, 2.5 stars. It was weird, it wasn't great, it was sort of edible, but the reason I'm giving it an extra half star is because it inspired me to discover homemade cheese powder, and that I think is pretty cool and worth something, so there you go. Now, I was convinced that cheese number 9, the bandage wrapped cheddar style cheese, was an absolute bust. But the flavor and the texture were amazing. Also, because most cheddars are mesophilic and this one was a thermophilic, this one pushed the envelope the most and was the most constructive in my learning, letting me see the potential of some adaptations that I maybe haven't fully explored as much as I should and will in the future. A solid 5 stars. Now next week, I'm going to be posting a video about cottage cheese. It includes the new method that I just mentioned. So once that's live, I'll put the link here. And yeah, that's it. We have concluded this epic cheese making experiment. Thanks for hanging in there with me. It was fun.